Good morning. I hope everybody had a very good time on the boat. Okay, good. And the weather was beautiful. There are 35 days of sunshine in St. Petersburg, I'm told, per year. And we're getting most of them. So I feel very, very sad for the St. Petersburg natives. I apologize in advance. But we thoroughly enjoyed it. So this morning, the World Council of Brokers is having its first forum. And I'm pleased to introduce the president of the World Council of Brokers, Mr. Kirkor Ajderhanyan from France. Kirkor has been involved in real estate all his life, first on the construction side with his family, and then by founding his own company with his wife in the late 90s. Kirkor is a member of FIABCI, the French Federation of Real Estate. He's actually the president of the International Relations Committee of FIABCI. Of course, we all know that he's the president of the World Council of Brokers. And he's also a founding member of the global think tank, a forum of forward-thinking industry leaders to discuss global issues and industry responses. So I'm pleased to ask Kirkor to talk about the World Council of Brokers.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Mr. President, dear Alex. It's one of the most important moment for me in my international relations that I began the first day in 2006 with FIABCI Syrian Conference in Sofia, to be able today to open this first brokers forum in St. Petersburg. It's a really great challenge, and to present you the World Council of Brokers. As you know, World Council of Brokers was established in 2011 by Enrico Campagnoli, FIABCI World President, and then we worked to create the management system and election of the team action plan with our President Alexandru Romanenko, and we will work from now today with Judy Shenefield, our new president, to go to the active part of the World Council of Brokers program. In the same time, we worked also very actively with Danielle Grossenbacher, who is also today president of the professional division of FIABCI. So we began everything with her, and really our gratitude to Danielle for everything she has done. As you know, the World Council's presidents of managers, Michael Von Hoff, developers and investors, João Crestana, and experts is Terry Duncan. To be the premier most effective global business network for brokers, to be multidisciplinary, multi-sectorial and multilingual, to focus our activities around FIABCI's core competencies to achieve the goals set for all the World Councils. Our progress concept to building, we began a year ago in Cyprus So you have all the definition of planning, strategic thinking, create the structure, value proposition, mission, statement of and goals, communication and coordination. So 1 year work. You know, sometime when it's our private business, I can really tell you that we don't really have so ambition to spend so much time that we spend for general interest and inside FIABCI. And really, I thank also today to all our team who gave us this pleasure to work together as a volunteers for FIABCI. Philosophy to achieve the vision, build a new golden bridge between the continents for the good of the industry, and we will achieve this through the exchange of industry know-how, because as we know, we don't have so much financial possibilities today, but the human resources is our biggest treasury. The human element and shared universal high values and standards will be our construction guide. We understood very quickly a year ago that we cannot exist and create this program with 2-3 members, but with mainly a team approach. Our team will develop and promote FIABCI World Council of Brokers through world geographical areas, area of business speciality and technical expertise for brokerage of our profession. When we presented all this program for the first time, Danielle said to me, Kirkor, we need a diagram to be much more understandable. So this is our diagram, World Council of Brokers, divisions by specialties and services. Specialties, commercial and residential. Services or education, training, technology. New services. Global development and promotion of FIABCI World Council of Brokers. How we will develop everything we are preparing today. We are working today to create the World Council of Brokers strategic planning group and to work with this strategic planning. New markets and sponsorship division, how to explore new markets around the world, to be globetrotter as a real estate professional. We cannot anymore wait that the customers come to us directly. We have to go and find them in their country. Marketing, networking, and new events planning division. So our elected officials, Maria Davies, one of our really most important element of our World Council of Brokers, Maria. She's in charge of as Vice President of Americas. Farook Mahmood, Vice President, Middle East, Gulf, South and Southeast Asia from India. Also very, very active and really from the first day we are working together with Farook, and Hendrik Nelde, who was obliged to leave yesterday, Vice President for Europe. Philippe Werner, Secretary General from France. So from there we were looking to find the experts of these divisions to chair the divisions of World Council of Brokers. Carl Lindberg, chair, World Council of Brokers Residential Real Estate Division from Canada. Dean Lapointe, chair, Commercial Real Estate Division from Canada. Edward Alford, Chair, World Council of Brokers Technology Training and Education Division from Canada, who is represented today by Brian Kincaid. Brian. Farook Mahmood, New Market Sponsorship Division. Teresa Kinney, New Services Division. Ron Phipps, Chair of World Council of Brokers Event Planning, Networking and Marketing Division. Just to be able to see the panorama of one division, we can say, education, training and technology team, one of the most important education and training team by Randy Williams, who is already chair of the FIABCI Education Committee, Mark Levin, William Ensley, who is here, Edward Alford, Susan Greenfield, please, John Mayfield, Elena Ivankona, Thierry Cheminan, Arturo Anesian. Technology team, Brian Kincaid, John Mayfield, Jim Wahlberg, Dagmar Sanz, Edward Alford, and Eddie Barrett. Eddie Barrett was also chair of task force for technology. I think from today is Brian Kincaid, and we are very, very, very happy to coordinate all this. You see, the first condition to make happening our program of World Council of Brokers, it's a harmony, it's wisdom, it's trust. We are talking about human relations. We understood very quickly that this is the most important treasury we have in the world, because you have some challenges you cannot take with financial support, but here we are talking about human resources and know-how, not transfer of technology, but transfer of know-how around the world. And we are open to everybody who wants to bring his or her expertise for this great challenge. It's clear that we have to be very careful to respect each other and to be able to work with this team at the best conditions. This is what we are trying to do all together. Division common objectives provide valuable and well-tailored services that enable our members to do more business. This is our important challenge. We will do this through broker-to-broker networking and self-promotion events, marketing and business development activities, guidance on FIABCI meeting formats, topics and speakers, the exchange of information, referrals, and open discussion of issues, efforts to harmonize standards of practice. Foundation of success is our volunteers. We have just one condition: to join our team and be part of our success. If you have an idea, step up and make it happen. We cannot anymore work about pictures, but only talking. We have to work. So this is really the most important challenge we can give. Like you, maybe with a few steps before, I am also discovering every day the challenges of this new mission that Alexander Romanenko, my president, gave me a year ago. But what we realized, and we were talking with our team members yesterday, we never had a so busy World Congress as today during these few days in St. Petersburg. I think we are really working every day, every minute. You have seen us, our team, on the corridors around each occasion to be able to go further and prepare for the brokers around the world this new program. And thank you very much for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kirkor. I think it makes it now very clear how the World Council of Brokers intends to work. And I think it's clear also that Kirkor wants maximum participation. So if any of you in the room are not already actively involved in the work of the World Council of Brokers, well, just talk to any of the members of the management team or Kirkor personally, and I'm sure that he will be happy to put you right back to work.
Danielle, we also have the form. Everybody has their form, so please fill it out and return it to the ladies as you leave.
Okay, where is the form actually? Was it distributed?
Yes. Everyone should have been handed a form to volunteer to participate in the World Council of Brokers. Please fill it and then hand it to the ladies as you leave.
Okay, but I have a special request. Do not say you'll volunteer if you don't intend to do so. Because we really need people who want to put in some time.
Everyone, please fill out yes.
Yeah, fill it out and just tick it if you really intend to help us out. I think we will appreciate any help that you would like to give. I would like to introduce now Mr. Francois Gagnon. Francois Gagnon was born in Quebec City, Canada, and he moved to the United States to complete his education. Very early on, he started in real estate, and he got the idea of sharing his knowledge and techniques. He established his own teaching company, and he started giving courses in Canada, the United States, and Europe, both in French and English. In 1993, he moved to France to start the expansion of ERA, real estate in Europe. And he established a very large network and very successful. ERA Europe is now in 18 countries and has over 1,100 franchises and over 6,000 agents. Francois is a long-standing member of the prestigious National Speakers Association. So welcome, Francois.
Merci, Danielle. Merci, Kirkor. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you. And I figured I would start by saying thank you. This is the second time I've had the opportunity to be in St. Petersburg. The first time I was here was in 1976, actually. I was 2 years old at the time. For those of you who are familiar with math. No, not quite, but it was obviously very different. However, one of the things that I do remember is that the city is as beautiful as I remember it. I really want to thank the fantastic organization of all the people of FIABCI for putting on this incredible event, and it's just been really fantastic. And all of the people that I've had the pleasure of meeting here, all of the from St. Petersburg and the Russians who are here have all been extremely friendly and very nice, and it's just been a really wonderful, wonderful experience. And I certainly look forward to coming back for sure, because I think it's a wonderful city that I've only had the opportunity to see very little of. So I think what I wanted to do to start, yesterday I had the pleasure of listening to Mr. De Soto and his presentation. One of the things that he talked about was the amount of information that's available and how sometimes that information ends up causing confusion. And in thinking about this, I looked at information and thought, gee, what exactly is the information that's available? How much information is there? And what exactly do we mean and what do we understand from that information? And just to give you an example, particularly as it relates to the need for the service that we provide as real estate brokers and as real estate salespeople with our customers, there's a ton of information because of technology today and the internet. You have access to anything and everything across the world in multiple languages, which is kind of like looking at this. And you look at this and you say, well, what does this mean? This means nothing. But it does. And if you're not careful with information, you can get it to mean anything you want. And if you look at this information, you say, well, what does this represent? Well, we could take this information and actually turn this to mean two things. To mean, number one, the importance of curiosity as we look into the market, but also, second of all, how that information can cause an anxiety. And having access to so much information can actually cause stress. And what am I talking about? Well, if we rearrange the information that we have, we can end up with a display that can represent curiosity and at the same time can also represent anxiety. Depending on how we look at that information. Information is very useful, but it has to be put in the proper context and the proper parameter. So let me give you some information, and this is this chart that you have here, and I won't go through all of this with you, but this chart that you have here is a study that we did of some of the countries where ERA is present throughout Europe, and we incorporated in the last column here the information from the United States in looking and analyzing not so much the market, but specifically how it relates to real estate professionals and the real estate industry. And there's two specific lines of information I want to give you, and when I conclude the presentation, I'll give you my email address. If you would be interested in receiving this, send me an email and I'll be happy to send it to you, because again, it can only help to serve the profession regardless of what market you may happen to be in if you find it helpful. The two lines I want to specifically outline and point out to you, this one here, and this one talks about what percentage of the market do real estate professionals have in different countries. And one of the things that we find is that depending on the countries and depending on the information that is available in that particular country, we can see that there's percentages that vary from anywhere from 50%, for example, in the market in Portugal. France is also at about the same level. And also you've got countries such as the US where it's 80% or even higher. The second line I want to point out is this particular line here, where we ask the question in the various countries, do real estate companies, do real estate brokers cooperate together in the market? And what we find is the countries and the markets where there is the highest level of brokerage offices and companies involved in providing the service are also the ones where there happens to be cooperation. The truth is that in the markets that we looked at in Europe, if we take Greece, for example, prior to the economic crisis that they're currently undergoing, but prior to that time, when ERA started in 1994, we went to Greece to help establish the network and talked with independent companies and found that very few cooperate together, which is why, for example, in a country like Greece, you have professionals having maybe a 30% share of the market. The higher the cooperation between the brokers, the greater we see, in fact, the use of brokers in that market and the extent to which brokers are able to have a market share in their particular group. The point being that we, different companies, different organizations, different networks, independent companies, large corporations that are owned, are not one another's competition. We are actually working together to accomplish the same goal, which is to help buyers and sellers accomplish their objectives, which is to buy and sell real estate. In addition to that, when we looked at this information, we thought, okay, what exactly is it that the message is that needs to be communicated in spite of the markets that may be in, and the questions that need to be answered and responded to when meeting with a professional across different parts of Europe. And the two questions which were the primary questions are, number one, do I need a real estate person to help me sell? That is the first question that needs to be answered, either through your presentation, through the information that will be given, through having a color brochure of some kind, or to have a virtual brochure through your internet site or through technology. But in any case, the first question that needs to be answered in the mind of the public and the consumer is to say, do I really need to have a professional? The second question that needs to be answered, because we often see real estate brokers and salespeople who walk away from meeting a seller and say, geez, it went really well, and they told me that if they ever need an agent, they will call me. Well, that's great, but that doesn't mean that you were able to get the business. So the second question that must be answered is, why you? Why should you be the one that I will work with? And one of the things that's been tremendous for our participation here at FIABCI is understanding the different training programs that go on in educational series that are designed for the purpose of, as Kirkor mentioned earlier, the promotion, the understanding of how to go about better providing the work that we have to provide and providing that information. So here's a couple of other points in relation to how to go about doing that, which is through communication. One of the things that Mr. De Soto mentioned yesterday, I tend to be an optimist, particularly being in sales. You have to be, otherwise you look at television and just about all the news that you hear is bad and is negative and is horrible. And it certainly is not very encouraging when you go to talk to someone who is interested in selling their home, when you're going in there depressed, and if you're feeling bad and saying, geez, you don't really want to sell your house, do you? And they say, no, and you go, well, that's what I thought. Well, I know it's hard and I know it's difficult. That's obviously not what they want to hear and not what will make me successful. Therefore, we need to be optimistic without dreaming. We have to keep our feet on the ground, but it's important to communicate that optimism to the market and to our clients. One of the ways to do that, and I know you've heard lots of information on regarding social media and social networks, but Facebook today is probably one of the quickest and easiest ways to communicate that information. And I just want to share some numbers with you when you look at what those numbers represent and the impact that that has. And what we have found, for example, and anyone can do this, I'll use our case as an example simply because it's the one I know the best, but this really applies to any of you here, regardless of the size of your company or your organization. If you have one Facebook page for your company, let's say, just one Facebook page, and through that page, you have, let's say, 1,000 friends that perhaps you've been able to rally around your company and your professional Facebook page. And I emphasize professional. For some of you, Facebook may be where you put what you had for breakfast and the fact that perhaps you're not feeling so good and you didn't sleep well last night, which is fine, but that would be more on the personal side. A professional Facebook page is one where you'll communicate some specific things, which I'll share with you in a second. But if you have a professional Facebook page where you communicate with clients, past clients, and therefore have access to their friends, and you have, say, 1,000 friends that like something that you may have posted or that see it, that means that if they have 100 of their friends that get to see it, what you're looking at is a distribution of 100,000 views. It's just by having 1,000 friends who each have 100 that see information that you posted. Yesterday, again, and I go back to this, private property rights, home ownership rights, which are all of the things that we are involved in and are so important, speak to everyone, and everyone is interested on real estate and real estate issues. As a result of that, there's a tremendous amount of desire for information and for knowledge as it relates to real estate. Getting 100,000 views is easy if you break down the elements. But if you have that 100,000 views, and let's say there's just 10% of those who say that they liked it, and they have 100 friends each, you're now up to 1 million views on information that you have posted. The mathematics don't lie, and it's actually free, requiring a very small amount of time on your part to be able to communicate this. So what is the communication that needs to be done that people want to see and hear about? Well, they want to hear about properties, yes, and they want to hear that you have this wonderful investment opportunity wherever that may be, but they also want to hear about sales, what sales have taken place, because that tells them specifically whether it's time to buy or time to sell. They want to hear about results. They also definitely want to hear testimonials of customers you have worked with that say that you have done an outstanding job and that they're very happy with. And all of that needs to be presented in the form of stories. Stories are really the vehicle that enable us to communicate a message, whatever that message may be, which will be such that people will remember and retain the information in a much more interesting fashion as opposed to simply hearing the facts. Think about a customer that you may have worked with who was happy with the job that you did, someone whose home you sold who really needed to move, a buyer that you helped find a property. Well, the results are critical, but what is the story of their life, which is the work that we do on a daily basis, which is exactly the kind of thing that people remember, which means that service is the industry that we are in, which is the most important thing that we need to provide. But in order to be successful, particularly in the changing times in which we work, there has to be an absolute overwhelming emphasis on the quality of that service that will be provided. And the quality is really the issue which will separate the professionals from the amateurs, those that are successful from those that are unsuccessful, because at the end of the day, the result is such that people are not only motivated by cost or by things that are cheap, but they're motivated by quality. I'll give you a quick story. I was walking on the Champs-Élysées a few months back. There's a fantastic Louis Vuitton shop that they've opened up on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. I don't know much about Louis Vuitton. It's not, I have nothing against them, not my cup of tea, particularly when you're looking at basically, and I don't mean this in a negative sense, but it's reality, you're looking at a plastic bag for 1,000 euros, which to me sounds like a bit much, but that's the reality of it. And so I've been in the shop one time, and I asked the lady, where are the leather ones? And she said, well, obviously you're not familiar with Louis Vuitton, and gave me one of those looks. I said, sorry. And I left. However, if you look at the Louis Vuitton shop on the Champs-Élysées, there is a lineup at the door for people to get in on Saturday and Sunday. Thank God we're having an economic crisis. I can't imagine what it would be like if market and the economy was good. I don't know what they would do. There's a line at the door to get into the Louis Vuitton shop. And as I'm walking on the Champs-Élysées, I come a little bit further down, and there's a gentleman who's got a blanket, as I'm sure you've seen, who's selling fake Louis Vuitton bags on the sidewalk, and he's got a blanket, and he's got his bags laid out, and he's selling them for 40 euros. Now, I don't know much about Louis Vuitton. They all look the same to me. I mean, it's plastic. Whether it's fake or real, plastic is plastic. But apparently he's got the fake plastic versus the real plastic, which is in the store. And I walked by and I thought, geez, why is it that there's no lineup to buy his bags for 35 euros? And there's a lineup to get into the shop at 1,000 euros. Because the key is that the money is not the only determining factor. It really is a question of what you're getting for the money. And it's obvious that consumers would prefer to pay 1,000 euros for a Louis Vuitton bag that, quote, is real, versus 25 or 30 or 40 euros for, quote, a fake one. There was no lineup in front of him to buy his bags. So what is the determining factor in the years to come for our industry as we look at Europe, for our specific business? But in addition to that, through the rest of the world, is that it's service, number one, and it's got to be that quality of service that'll make the difference. So in asking and looking at the news, is the glass half empty or is it half full? Well, it's definitely a question of perspective that'll determine how we feel about it. And based on that, we feel that there definitely is opportunity in business, in the market, and in the industry, regardless of how easy or difficult it may be, for those that are providing outstanding service focused on their customers. This is my email address. If you'd like me to send you the little graph that we had, don't hesitate to send me an email. I'll be happy to send you whatever we've got. Pleasure to do it. And I'll end on this. If you have a Facebook page, my first name, Francois, last name, Gagnon, in the province of Quebec, where I am from, there's probably 50,000 Francois Gagnons in Quebec. It's an extremely, extremely common name. If you go to Facebook to find me, it'll take you 2 days. You're going to have to sift through 60 pages of Francois Gagnons to find me, and there's 59 pages of them that are more famous than I am. There's a well-known hockey player, there's a TV commentator, there's a cook. I think there's even a cardinal in Rome named Francois Gagnon. I mean, there's a ton of them. So how do you find me, which exactly is important to you and your business? Well, what you can do, which is what I did, is for 10 or 15 euros, if you buy a domain name, which is, in my case, francoisfacebook.com, which I simply redirect to my Facebook, that means that you can find me in one click. You type francoisfacebook.com, and that'll take you directly to my Facebook page. So if you want your customers to find you quickly on Facebook, all you need to do is get your domain name as part of with Facebook. 10 euros a year is all it costs, and then they're able to find you immediately without having to sift through all of the pages and all of the information. Thank you again so much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you very much, Danielle. Thank you, Kirkor. Thank you, and we'll see you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Francois, for this excellent presentation. We have the honor today to invite Grigory Kulikov, Chair of the Board of MIEL Real Estate Holding. MIEL is one of the largest companies in Russia, according to Forbes and RBC magazines and the expert rating agency. The first time I discovered Grigory Kulikov was in Sofia, FIABCI conference, where Arturo Anesian and Alex Romanenko were heading this FIABCI Congress. It was a really historical day. He was the figure of this event, and I can really never forget, because the important in our industry is not to be, but to maintain, to keep the reputation, to be always number one. This is the most important challenge, and I think Grigory Kulikov succeed in this. And executive MBA degree in the Higher School of Economics, graduated from Moscow Institute of Electronic Machine Building, majoring in applied mathematics. He completed second higher education in Moscow State Law Academy. MIEL Holdings successfully works in all the segments of the real estate market: city real estate and new construction, commercial and countryside real estate brokerage, consulting, development and investments. The MIEL real estate offices network includes more than 100 realtor offices located in Moscow region and other regions of Russia. MIEL Holding, headed by Grigory Kulikov, received almost all the existing professional rewards in its sphere. In November 2008, Chair of the Board, Grigory Kulikov, received the International Prize Entrepreneur of the Year award in the nomination services, a content organized by Ernst Young to recognize entrepreneurs who endowed most resources into the development of the national economy. When we receive in France Russian customers, we can say that in south of France, around French Riviera, we have so many, and we show apartments, properties, etc. They are talking us about the Russian standard. Maybe we have in south of France one of the best maybe lifestyle, but we are really following the Russian standards about the construction, about the choice of the materials, and to be on the top for the real estate market about construction and all the development in Russia means that really they reached already the excellence. Grigory Kulikov will present to us franchising as a strategy for development of companies and business technologizing of brokerage services in the real estate market of Russia. Please, thank you.
Good morning, dear colleagues. After such an introduction by Kirkor, I feel kind of uneasy to stand here and talk to you. Anyway, thank you very much for kind words. And I would like, first of all, to speak not about success stories or achievements. Today, I'd rather talk about difficulties and mistakes, maybe, about failures, even, which sometimes occur in the world of brokers and realtors, because the understanding of your own mistakes helps you to better and quicker move forward. Why have I chosen the topic of franchising as a strategy for the development of brokerage services in the real estate market? One of the reasons behind is that the share of franchised broker companies, especially in North America, this market share, as far as I know, is in excess of 50% and sometimes reaches even 70%. What do we see in Russia? At present, franchising as a development strategy for retail business is quite well represented. More than half of franchises are in the retail business. 22% are accounted for by catering and restaurants. And if we take the services sector, there the share is a mere 18%. But still, these figures tell us that in Russia we do have huge potential for the development of franchising, especially in the services sector. Now, where we stand with regard to the largest operators of the real estate market in Russia. What you can see now in Russia is paradoxical. The country is huge in terms of territory. The country is rather big in terms of population as well. But still, looking at this table, you can easily see that we don't have not a single fully fledged federal operator in the real estate market. Why is this so? The market is quite young. Russian real estate market is slightly over 20 years of age. And I hope that this is the main reason behind the situation, but many other markets in Russia are not older, but they are much better consolidated, and there are quite a few effective federal operators of the federal level that work in all regions of the country. Looking at this table, you can also see that the overall number of franchisees is below 250. So we have slightly in excess of 200 franchise offices in Russia. And this is for such a territory and 150 million of population almost. This business started to develop with the help of our president, Alex Romanenko. The first franchise was sold to Advex. Later on, this business model did not develop in a systemic way, neither by Advex or by us, until quite recently. Franchising and brokerage started to develop in Russia about 7 years ago in earnest, and the first companies that started to do it, here it is on the 6th line, this is Hirsch. It is the only company which is involved in franchising as the only line of business. 96% of Hirsch offices are franchised operations, and they own just one office. If we take the territorial distribution of main franchisors, we can see that by and large they are represented in Moscow. Most franchises operate from Moscow, and there are startup companies that have started to develop the franchising model in real estate, and those are two companies, Expert from Ufa and another company from Yekaterinburg in the Urals. Distribution across the regions. The green color here means Moscow operators. It is the predominant color here, so the largest real estate operators in Russia are largely based in Moscow. There are two very successful companies in St. Petersburg, including Advex, of course, and Ithaca. But the market of real estate in Russia is not consolidated. Here we can see the main opportunity for further development. We have a saying about leaves and roots. And here we're talking about plans that were announced 5 or 6 years ago by a number of companies, including my company. And we compare plans with the results. And unfortunately, I have to state that not a single company was able to meet their own targets within the specified time frame. They did not attain their strategic goals. A number of companies announced that they were going to create about 500 offices, mainly based on the franchise model. Not a single company succeeded in that. And as of today, we can say that the franchising model, after the crisis of 2008 and 2009, has a chance for a reincarnation, for a second start. And now, as part of the second start, we've been able to quite successfully develop our network, and we develop it mainly, well, in the Moscow region, so far. And here you can see 5 companies that were planning to build countrywide networks. They had very ambitious plans. Alas, those plans never came true. Here, we traditionally, we give a traditional SWOT analysis. We talk about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat of the franchise model in the broker business in Russia. And we have 4 items in each of these quadrants. That was made on purpose. Unfortunately, today, in reality, there are a lot of items below. We have a lot of opportunities, but we have major threats. Also, I've already described the opportunities. Low competition. In the franchise business, we don't see practically any competition in Russia now. There is a possibility, in general, to work in this area, because this business, was quite successful in North America, in China, in France, and many other countries, and therefore we can state that there is a lot of potential. Our experience tells us that if you have strengths such as a strong brand, and in Russia, on the national level, we don't have any. We have few of those on the regional level. So if you have a good support and service system, then the franchising model is in quite high demand, and I think this demand will grow. When developing the franchise business as a line of business, you should pay special attention, and this is, of course, the North American approach, and we studied this approach quite carefully. So you need, first of all, to create a good system of supporting startup entrepreneurs. You should not only train them, which is obvious and is discussed at every workshop. You need to train realtors, but also you need to support them, especially those of them who are starting entrepreneurs. You should teach them the foundations of management competencies, the system of business management, specific tools related to marketing for a startup company. A few words about threats. Today in Russia, we have a rather large share of real estate transactions that are carried out by amateurs, so to speak, private realtors as we call them. Another serious threat is as follows. Unfortunately, over the past several years, the mass media usually create a negative, scandalous image of the realtor profession. Unfortunately, the mass media mention realtors only in connection with failures, mistakes, or scandals, or sometimes criminal behavior. But those are not realtors who are part of the professional community. Those are not those realtors who operate in big companies. Those are private, informal, amateur brokers who are trying to operate in the real estate market. Another threat that exists currently in Russia is the threat of the low level of development of entrepreneurial mentality. People do not quite understand what enterprise is all about. That it means a totally different level of risk, a totally different level of responsibility. People do not want to understand that. Unfortunately, statistics describing the work of startup businessmen is always negative, so to speak. Out of 10 startup companies, it is normal that only 2 companies become successful in medium term, and in Russia it is like this. Major difficulties that cannot be overlooked. Those are difficulties of a legislative nature. Unfortunately, in Russia today, we do not have, and we haven't had for 10 years, a system of state licensing of brokers operating in the real estate market, and at the same time we don't have a fully fledged legislative regulation of these activities. So we operate in the relative legal vacuum, which means that there is an insufficient level of regulation of our services in our capital-intensive and quite large-scale market. Another legislative problem is the lack of regulation of the franchising activities, not only the real estate market. Both are significant threats and significant impediments for the development of this model. There are also psychological difficulties in the development of the franchise model. The majority of potential buyers of franchises are entrepreneurs who already have some experience of working in the real estate market. Those are owners or co-owners of small companies. Those are managers of departments in larger companies. And sometimes they are already experienced and successful brokers. There is the overall problem of unstable economic situation, but this is characteristic of many markets today, not only for Russia, but there is something special about Russia in this respect. It is rather difficult to get up seed financing, even on a small scale, within the range of $100,000 US dollars. It is difficult to get loans for a start-up company for business development purposes. A few words about failures. I'll be talking here about my company. You can see here that we have closed by now, or failed to open, 8 offices of my company. The reason: in 2003 in Novosibirsk, a franchised office was closed because this business was run by a hired manager, and for investors, for owners, this activity was not their main line of business. They didn't participate. They just provided financing and didn't work. The same happened in Tumen. The project worked for several years, and then it was closed down as an unprofitable asset by the owner, who again used hired managers. Another example: we closed our own office, the MIEL office in Tula. Here we failed to work properly with the head of this office. We failed to open 2 other offices because 2 franchisees in one city could not come to terms with one another and gave up. And 2 franchised offices were closed over the past 2 years in Moscow because of a conflict between partners, between co-owners and franchisees. Those are the reasons that led to specific failures, to bankruptcies actually, of a number of realtor companies operating under the trademark of MIEL real estate. And the main reason usually was related to the manager, to the CEO. When the CEO is not an owner or a co-owner of the business, it unfortunately, it often leads to failure. And what leads to success? A system of network support. You need to have a strong brand. You need to provide serious support in terms of working with human resources. You need to recruit personnel. You need to praise personnel. Training here plays a very important role. You need to provide marketing support, and you need to provide management consulting to the managers. Here we have the network. This is what it looks like in the Moscow region, more or less. As of today, it is the largest network there. And those people who are interested in buying a franchise are existing realtor companies who want to get a new impetus for their development in their own market and who use a strong brand as a tool in this undertaking. Those are existing franchisees who buy 2 or 3. We have a franchisee who operates 5 offices now. This is also one of the new franchisee types. There are startup companies who were confronted with a high level of competition, and those are existing managers of existing realty companies who are interested in starting up their own business. I already said a lot, and Kirkor said a lot about that. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that the future of the real estate market in Russia will involve franchises, and this franchising model will be quite successful. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Grigory. Our next speaker will be Maria Davies, successful broker for 20 years, mentor to new realtors. Maria Davies has been a successful realtor. She holds a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Illinois and master's in social work from Loyola University. She is active in her local realtor association, serving on the Professional Standards Committee, and is a mentor to new realtors. Maria is also active in her community, belongs to the Rogers Park Community Council, is a founding member of the 49th World Green Corps. For the past few years, Maria has maintained an interest in international real estate, first serving and chairing the International Committee of the Chicago Association of Realtors. Then joining FIABCI, she was recently elected to Vice President of the World Council of Brokers, is a judge for the FIABCI Prix d'Excellence competition, is a member of the board of FIABCI USA and President of Chicago Council of FIABCI USA. She is one of the master actor of World Council of Brokers. We built World Council of Brokers program together, and it's a very great honor to work with Maria as a friend, as a professional, but first as a human, with her human values. She will present us international real estate myths and realities. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Kirkor, for those wonderful introductory comments. It's been a great pleasure to accompany Kirkor, Alex Romanenko, and some of the other people who are instrumental in this wonderful venture that we call the World Council of Brokers. My presentation has to do with what I call the myths and realities of global real estate. Both our keynote speaker, Hernando de Soto, as well as Francois Gagnon, made reference to the critical part that information plays on our daily lives and our businesses. When I was in graduate school, we used to say there is dirty statistics, meaning that if you set out with an idea in your mind and you want to prove it, you can always find the statistics to back you up. Why is information important? In a fast-moving global economy, things change a great deal. It's very important for us, if we're going to be successful, to find some way to seek out reliable information so that we can direct our efforts in the right direction. Okay, global flow, capital flow. Interestingly enough, we hear a lot of negative things about people not wanting to invest, people holding back, countries in trouble. But there's been a huge increase in global investment, global capital flow. 410 billion in direct commercial investment in 2011, which represents a 28% increase. That's very substantial. Here are where the investment has gone, just a table, percentage change in the Americas, emerging markets, Asia Pacific, and as you see, the totals are all positive. One of the myths that we have held for a number of years is that the investment comes from what we call the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. But as you can see by this chart, capital flow is all over the place. USA is obviously one of the largest markets for investment, but so is the UK, Germany, France, Japan, China, Australia, Canada, Sweden, Hong Kong. The most active global cities, and there's some surprises here. Some of them we know, some of them we understood, some of them we've talked about. London, obviously, New York, pretty obvious, Paris, pretty obvious, Tokyo, Singapore, Hong Kong, Washington, D.C. Nice for us, but keep in mind that people need to look at some of this information before making decisions where to go, and Washington, D.C. is one of them. Seoul, South Korea, Shanghai, and Los Angeles. 50% of global commercial real estate investment is concentrated in only 30 high-order cities. These are cities with large concentrations of internationally focused high-value business activities. The top 5 cities are London, Tokyo, New York, Hong Kong, and Paris. They are responsible for a quarter of all global investment. Among the emerging markets are included Shanghai, Beijing, Moscow, and Sao Paulo. No surprise there, really. Okay. The current global investment drivers, and by the way, you will see on the bottom of most of my slides that I've taken my information from Jones Lang LaSalle. Anybody who wants to access their information can go on their website, and they're very current. They update this information at least on a yearly basis. So the top 30 cities remain consistent over the recent years. U.S. cities will continue to hold considerable real estate weight. 11 U.S. cities are expected to be in the top 30 by 2010. China's cities offer massive potential, unprecedented growth, massive long-term potential. The future for European cities depends on innovation and reinvention. Winners and losers will become more apparent. Munich, Stockholm join London and Paris, Moscow, and Istanbul as Europe's high-value cities. U.S. cities provide strong counterbalance to the Asia-Pacific. Okay, so here are the current global investment drivers, and now there are some surprises here. When I looked at this, I said, Salt Lake City? But according to Jones Lang LaSalle statistics, there you are. Some of them are not surprising. Jacksonville is by the way of Jacksonville, Florida. So again, that's not surprising. Many investors come to Florida. San Jose, California is a bit of a surprise. San Antonio, Texas, lovely city, but I would not have thought it was among the top 30, but there you are. Raleigh, Durham, South Carolina. Hong Kong, no surprise. Austin, Texas. If you've not been there, it's a beautiful university town, but I would not have thought it would make this list. Okay. Now here's some changes between 2004 and 2011 in the top ranking cities and how they have changed. London has remained constant, so has New York, so has Tokyo. Hong Kong replaced Paris. Chicago, I'm very sorry to say, because it's my hometown, is no longer on the list. However, don't let that discourage you. We're still alive and kicking. Okay. The United States, according to Inman News, and again, one of the things to be aware of that information comes to you from so many different sources. Inman News in the United States is one of the most respected real estate-focused publications. So they say that the 10 residential markets ranked by highest share of foreign buyers are, the top 5 are in Florida. No surprise there. Phoenix, Mesa, and Glendale in Arizona is a bit of a surprise. New York, of course, not a surprise. Honolulu, not. Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, that's on the west coast of Florida, by the way, which is very different from the east coast. Very nice area. And Las Vegas and Paradise in Nevada. You've heard Kirkor say that we are in the midst of developing a strategic plan for the World Council of Brokers. We want to facilitate global networking, and we want to focus on developing markets. In order to do that, we need to look at the information. We need to focus our efforts into the areas where the money comes from, or areas where the money goes to. Okay. We need to, as I said, prospecting is something that we all have to do. We can't sit back and shake hands and expect that business will flow from that. We need to focus on fact-based information. We need to be proactive. We need to use all the means that you have at our disposal. We have Proxio, we have local councils, chapters, World Congress, business meeting. The myth here is that just by going to these events, whether it be local, whether it be a national, whether it be international, business will come to us. It will not. It takes effort, it takes knowledge, it takes focus, it takes using the systems that we have put in place. In terms of, Francois referred to different business practices in one of his charts, and as you could see from his information, we do business very differently the world over. In my country, every listing we take, 99% is exclusive, meaning if somebody calls me to help them sell their property, I am the only person representing that property. So really, in order to do business together and be successful, we need to standardize our practices. We need to build in some kind of accountability. If I do something wrong in the United States, there are very strict code of ethics and there are very strict regulations in terms of how I conduct my business. If I do something wrong, I can be fined, I can lose my licensure. We need to make sure that we are accountable when we do business together. We also need to share information, and that's one of the things that our technology division is going to be working on, and I'm going to be working with the other world councils to make sure that we do share information, that we make our lives easier, and that we can work together successfully. Okay. So the role of the World Council has been mentioned many different times, but basically we want to assist with the promotion. We want to assist in cooperation among other international organizations, not just FIABCI, but there's other organizations out there who do real estate business. We need to work together with them. And we need to develop marketing platforms in terms of how, where, and by whom business is conducted. We're not very good at telling our own success stories. I think that's one of the things we need to do. Who did business? Where did they do it? How were they successful? And what were some of the challenges that they faced? If you want any information about either investment in my country or the World Council, please seek me out. We need input from all of you. We can only be successful to the degree that you help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. I would now like to call on Brian Kincaid. Brian Kincaid in the FIABCI USA is called our technology guru. Brian has a long history in technology. He owns several companies. I think one or two are related to technology, and one definitely is brokerage. So Brian is a real estate broker in Denver. He is president of the Home Cart, Inc., and he's principal co-founder of the Denver Business Blogs and Upsides Media Group. He has extensive technology background, and he has developed online real estate marketing services for consumers and agents alike. He is a board member and executive member of FIABCI USA. He's president of the Colorado Council of FIABCI USA. He's the international chair of the Colorado Association of Realtors, international steering committee member of the Denver Metro Association of Realtors, and he's an advisory board member with Home Gain. And he has lots of designations, two of them that are more familiar to you maybe, CIPS and TRC. And today he's going to share his knowledge, and he's going to tell us the must-have tools for brokers. So you're very welcome to share your secrets with us, Brian.
Good morning. Let's see if we can get back. Yeah, that was quick, huh? Well, sometimes those are good, especially when you're the last speaker, or one of the last speakers. I wanted to thank Kirkor and Danielle and the World Council of Brokers for having me up here today. And when I was invited to speak today, I wanted to provide some information that perhaps you might be able to get some benefit in addition to just technical tools, because we receive those pretty much day in and day out. I know John Mayfield did a great presentation yesterday, some of which will complement my presentation today. First of all, how many people, I know sometimes with brokerages, you have one company site, and many folks also have individual websites. So how many people have blogs or websites? Okay, thank you. This thing keeps creeping. Does everyone understand SEO, search engine optimization, and search engine marketing? And I'll try to qualify those real quick. Search engine optimization is organic. You basically Google, which one of the primary search engines will identify content on your website and either give you credit for that or sometimes take points away. Okay, this thing. And otherwise, search engine marketing is more like pay-per-click. So Google AdWords. And so in any which way, the main point to capturing leads and generating traffic will be to get people to your website. And hopefully this will stay here. And so the search engine optimization is the technique that will take time, takes effort, diligence, continuous effort, and bear with me, this thing has a mind of its own. Search engine marketing is pay-per-click. It's basically turning the water spigot on and getting people to your website based upon qualified search or keywords. I'm going to have to keep clicking this back. So between the two, you want to find a balance. If you do have a website, you do have a blog, or even to some degree profile on the internet, you can bring people to your website and potentially then advertise your services and hopefully capture them and use them as a as a way to generate traffic. One of the things that Google is particularly keen on these days is quality traffic, quality content, and based upon that content, they will give you their blessing. And in recent times, Google has been much more proactive in either rewarding or punishing folks for how they are optimizing their websites. And they're really looking for natural, unique content. One of the ways that you can do that is through writing articles on your website. And again, you don't want to copy paste. Not only will that be frowned upon, but also it will kind of disappoint viewers to your website if they have seen that somewhere else, and or somebody who wrote that original content may not appreciate you having their article on your website. Consumer-focused information. Again, the main thing is that you want to get them to your website. You want to keep them on your website. One of the things that Google considers is what they call bounce rate. So if somebody hits your website and they say, no, this is not what I want, click off it, then you're going to have a higher bounce rate. The bounce rate will effectively come into calculation when they figure the overall quality of your website. Blogging on-site versus off-site. On-site is going to give you better on-site content, again, for Google and also for purposes of having quality material to view. Off-site will be a benefit because if you write off-site, you're probably going to want to link back to your website. You do this through your social media profiles, but also if you are able to write on a website that has a good readership, and that link coming back to you will bring traffic, and the better quality that website is will bring you a little bit of link love from Google. The main thing about if you do write, which is a good thing, is write often continually, because that will keep the content fresh. It will provide Google a reason to come back. If it's a very static website, then it will kind of just be glazed over after a while. Again, be original. One of the other items, when you do a website or a blog, you want to consider what the scope of your site is going to be. So if you say, for example, want to do all of the state of Colorado, that's a pretty huge chunk to bite off. Probably the more value would be to write an article specifically on your neighborhood or on a particular part of town or a particular topic. Now, it'll be quicker to build that following, but also once the people get there, you'll find that they are more loyal to your site, and more apt to convert if you are trying to capture people for sales. HTML websites versus WordPress blogs. In the past, HTML websites were the main form of media online. These sites were great, but they required a little bit more effort, a little additional tools to customize the content, the graphics. These days, WordPress is really becoming a main avenue, inexpensive avenue, and very search engine friendly and consumer friendly because you can mix it up through plugins and different adjustments to your website. One of the main things that you will really want to consider is whether you can get listings on your website. 90% of the reason that people come to our website is so they can view properties. And without that, it'll be really hard to get them to come back for more unless you're writing very incredible articles. The types of listings that you can get, primarily you want to seek out companies that will deliver indexable listings. That means that Google will recognize that you have additional content on your website. Indexable listings are usually updated regularly, often on a daily basis, as opposed to what they call iframed, which is a popular method, and it's popular on template-type websites. However, the iframes don't get really read by Google. So they kind of glaze over those pages. Although the consumer will be able to see the content, they really won't be able to, Google won't really be able to give you credit for that. Calls to actions, again, you want to bring people in, give them a reason to want to register in your website, and website forms. Probably the most productive one that we've had is relocation packages, and I'd say this is probably one of the better methods that we've had to convert people to sales, because the relocation package, we can give them information regards to us, the Denver market, or any other location that we're trying to promote. And really, capturing the lead has gotten to be, at least for me, pretty straightforward, and probably for many of the other folks that I know, capturing is more straightforward, but the conversion is 90% of the battle. And really, it's your approach to how you will get those people to want to do business with you. Obviously, the more information you have on your website, the more credibility, the more social media profiles you have, the more testimonials you have, and you want to, during the course of it, work towards building a relationship with that person that will build loyalty, and ultimately that will bring you sales. One of the things that often people think with websites is that their email campaigns are going to generate sales, and that really isn't the case. Picking up the phone and making the phone call, follow up, follow up, follow up. I can't say that enough. Consistency and continually, we have folks that will close on 3 and 4 years later after our conversion. Know your product, do your homework, and be genuine in the sense that the more credible you are, the more likelihood you're going to do a sale. I'm going to go quick through this because I know we're running out of time. Your campaigns, you really want to be as real with your communications as you can. People will respect your sense of genuineness. Don't overload them with emails, and basically give them, the goal is to give them what they want, not what you want to give to them. And on the next page is basically some tools that I put that I find have been convenient. There's a lot of online resources. Many of these are free or not very expensive. And again, if anyone wants a copy of this or has any questions, feel free to contact me on the next slide. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. I'd like to present you Farook Mahmood, Chairman and Managing Director of Silverline Group from India. Farook Mahmood brought real estate agents in the city together to form the Bangalore Realtors Association in India in 2000. And headed this association as president for a decade. He went on to set up the National Association of Realtors India in 2007 and headed the association as founder president. He also been recently re-elected for a period of 3 years on the board of International Consortium of Real Estate Association, ICREA. USA as the sole representative of India, he has recently been invited to represent India on the Global Real Estate Think Tank, on which he is headquartered in Paris, France. He has also been appointed as international advisor to the board of FIABCI, French Real Estate Association. He is also a member of FIABCI at the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Silverline is the first real estate agency in India to be awarded with 3 titles in 2008: Best Property Finder India, Best Property Finder Asia Pacific, and Best International Property Finder for the year 2008 by International Property Awards in association with CNBC. I was last year again in Hyderabad for NAR India convention, and when you participate, you understand the important role of Farook in India. We can say he is the key to open the door for Indian continent, because India, when we try to learn a little bit more about India, is a continent, it's not only a country. So many cultures, so many languages. Somebody who don't know India and like to make a business with India, I think he is the reference for all a continent. He is one of the most important player of World Council of Brokers. And I will be really pleased to present him to you. He will talk about building international business, basic steps, and out-of-the-box ideas. Thank you, Farook.
Thank you, Kirkor. Morning, President, delegates, members of the board of FIABCI. We're all faced with the challenge of how to expand globally or do business with global players. This is one such plan that I have put together, and might not be the perfect plan, but it's just my perspective of this business. property may be local, buyer, seller, and financing may be possible because it's now a global business. With globalization comes the need to change local attitudes. I'm not going to read what's on the slide. I'm just going to give you a commentary. I think we have a 10-minute slot for this, I'm told. You need to think in terms of global standards and corporatization. To grow your markets globally, you must adopt new ways of thinking and new ways of marketing strategies in emerging markets. This must align with global needs and best practices of developed markets. I think implementation of a business plan is the most important part of this whole thing. You have to define a target audience and have marketing strategies. Though the face of the real estate business is changing, you must have a vision for your global business and also its perspective. Real estate agents need to implement and follow a business plan which has been incorporated. We have to turn an unorganized business structure into a corporate entity. You have to look at clearly defining your market audience and have your marketing strategies in place. Be a niche market. The niche market approach is productive than a mass market approach. It is not feasible to be an expert in the whole world, but you can be an expert in your own market to the whole world. This is a very important factor that one must remember. You can be a geostrategist, someone who anticipates how world events will impact market activities. Where is the next new market? One needs to identify these before one invites his or her investors to put in money there. What geopolitical events may cause residents to look? Your vision must reflect global trends and market realities. Social media, from my point of view, figures most prominently in the business plan to support a global network of agents. It's very crucial in today's marketplace for growing your business globally. The power of branding. There are three effective global market inroad strategies that I would like to share with you. A, you go ahead with an issue of opening offices in major commercial centers across the globe. B, you need to pursue a franchise model. And the third is enter into local partnerships which retain the brand but share revenue. For example, if I wanted to do a global partnership with France and Russia, I would use Kirkor maybe in Nice and maybe talk to Alex in Russia. We would all form a corporation in which each of us has an investment and an equity. The brand, we can call it an XYZ corporation. In India, it would be managed by Silverline Group, that's who I represent. I would take care of the business in the Indian sector. Alex could take care of the XYZ corporation with the common brand identity in Russia, and the others in different parts of globes could take care of it in different places with their own name, not losing their individual identity because they have built a brand over the years and decades, which they would not like to leave. In the other regions, either we could go into a market where all the business is done locally among the major percentage of the business, let's say a 70-30 ratio could be taken, I'm just giving an example, between the local partner and the brand that you're contributing to. The revenue would go to a local partner, a small percentage would go to the global corporation for promoting the brand in the international market. We would agree on how to share the brand equity. This model has infinite power and can be changed into reality if some of us take a bold and innovative step. If the finer points and the nuts and bolts of this can be worked out, this may just be a dream come true. And remember, your brand is your reputation. Manage it with care. Embrace best practices, no matter where they come from. You have to shake off your complexes you have about accepting that someone else has a better plan or a better practice. Learn from others and make it your own. Explore a lateral business stream to increase your profitability. Property sales may not be a mainstay of your business at all times. Like a good retirement financial portfolio, you should be diversified and be able to generate revenue through a variety of revenue sources, some which can be leveraged in recessionary times. For example, you might also specialize in investor service, facility management, property consultancy, and a host of other services that come along with this business. Referrals are the way forward to a true global business. Leverage your network to increase business from referrals. As the business turns global, the share from referrals will increase as a percentage of the total revenues of your company. Your local niche market will make you strong globally. Be the go-to agent in your marketplace. That's very important. Offer a complete bouquet of services, financial, legal, documentation, to name a few. Provide a one-stop shopping experience to the client. The strategy will help engender strong brand loyalty and will allow you to work and grow in your markets. Don't forget to tend to international relationships. Real estate will always be a people business, and it is even more so on the global scale. Your personal relationships will open doors to new businesses, so make sure your personal relationships are built with the best possible professionals. These contacts will lead you to solid, productive business. Money should not always be the driver. Take the appropriate amount of commission for a referral based on the value you add, even if your contractual due seems more. If you simply passed on a name and an email address, 10% of the shared fee is sufficient. If you might be able to get 25%, good business dealings will come back to provide more business. This is just a suggestion. One necessarily does not need to get into this percentage following. It's my personal view on this. And this is something that I would like to strongly recommend. Because if you give your referral partner the money, he will refer more deals to you, and in the long run, it will make more sense. Role of real estate organizations. Build your business through global real estate organizations. Use professional and trade associations such as FIABCI, ICRIA, NAR, FINAM, and other SOCEPI, and the ones that you are connected with and your markets. Excuse me. And another important is to access global property inventory through portals. These groups are also the best source for building a professional network and provide a common ground for business standards and ethical behavior. Surround yourself with the best, because there's no compromise on this and there's no second chance. Thank you. Thanks. Use annual conventions and expositions to build your global business. Target those events in markets that represent inbound investors into your market, or offer investment opportunities of interest to your local clients. Before planning to exhibit at an event, attend at least once as a visitor. It can teach you valuable lessons and save you money, first to observe how things work and how to get the most out of the event. En route to events, stop off in another market. Use your travel to explore new market opportunities based on your business plan. Tap into your global network to find contacts in these markets. This will pay its dividends in the long run. Well, the internet is the most important part. Property, think back to before the internet. It's hard to remember how we did even our global business, much less cross-border transaction. Thanks to the internet, global business is easier and more productive than ever before. Use social media groups such as Facebook or LinkedIn to find contacts and stay in touch, including those you meet at events. Market yourself as the expert in your niche market. Provide valuable information about your market. Make full use of many tools available online, making global business easier. Translation tools, electronic document verification, wiring funds, promoting property features through virtual tools. These opportunities are endless and new ones are being developed every day. To summarize, the building blocks for growing your global business are to become a market, niche expert, and use a geostrategist outlook to share your thinking and your business plan. Develop a strong and a positive brand, and stake your reputation to the brand by adhering to good ethical business practices and also just good business practice. Develop a strong global network of agents, the best people in key markets worldwide, and pursue a productive referral business. Take advantage of industry events to connect with global players and to market your property listings. FIABCI's World Council of Brokers is working to help agents around the globe to be more productive in their business through access to important market information and through the availability of networks with like-minded industrial professionals. We have one group that is dedicated specifically to focus on new market exploration. I welcome your involvement in these efforts. We've had a couple of sessions in the past 2 days, and if anybody would like to volunteer, we'd be more than glad to take you as a part of our team. Well, these are the upcoming events of some of the global events for 2012. Last, I'd like to welcome you to India. I'd like to extend this personal invitation to come to India next month and experience our markets and build a global tie with professionals, one of the fastest growing markets in the world. This is on the 23rd and 24th of June. And we would also invite you to visit my home city, Bangalore. That's on the 25th and 26th, where we will host you. Please let me know if anybody is interested in visiting. We will organize for visas. Thank you very much.
Well, I think there were a few questions earlier. Some people asked if they could ask questions. We have time for 2 questions. Yes, could we have a microphone, please?
If you allow me, I will ask this question in Russian. In Russia, we have 2 key questions that we often ask: who is to blame and what needs to be done? The first question, who is to blame? In the difficulties of realtor business, if we replace this question with the following: why has it all happened like this? And in this regard, Francois showed a very important table in the very beginning. And I would advise the World Council of Brokers to take this table as the basis for research for the forthcoming months. I was very much impressed by this table in December when I first saw it in Paris. There is a comparison of realty business in different countries. So if we answer the question of who is to blame with the correct answer that we are to blame for the current situation. Then we should analyze why in different countries the share of market, the amount of commissions, the reputation of the realtors are different. We should not claim that we have a different mentality. If we should not claim that. Then we will be able to make proposals, specific proposals for each country as to how to improve the current situation. This is just by way of a proposal to the FIABCI members, to the World Council of Brokers. Please take this very interesting ERA study. This is a subjective study, but it is extremely helpful, and I urge you to take it as a basis for your further work. I asked Francois about that. This is based on the data collected by ERA themselves. It's very interesting. This should be used as a groundwork for further analysis, and I think that the World Council of Brokers will do a very good service for all the FIABCI members if they carry on this research and into what needs to be done in order to achieve such level of success as in the USA, Canada, and the Netherlands. This was not a question; it was just a comment.
But maybe Francois would like to add a few comments. Francois, where are you? I don't see you. Okay, would you like to come here and maybe add a few comments on where you think this can take us? For those of you who were not quick enough to put your headsets, the question referred, actually it was a request for the World Council of Brokers to further the study that Francois showed about how brokers are viewed in several countries and how effective they are.
Thank you for the comments, Arthur. The study that we conducted was to help understand basically what is the difference in the countries. And one of the things that has been so, I would say, enriching and enlightening in working with different countries across Europe is the number of times that we hear people say, it's different here. This is different. You don't understand. Germany is not France. France is not Portugal. Portugal is not Sweden. Sweden is not England. And none of those are the United States. And all of that is true. However, there is a tremendous underlying commonality between all of us. And one of the things that we find is that consumers want and are willing to pay for good service. And I think for many years, I personally have been involved in the real estate profession since 1979. I started as a salesperson in a real estate office at that time in the United States. And the real estate industry in the United States, the profession does not have a good reputation. In Europe, in many of the countries, it does not have a good reputation. And the goal is really to work, I believe, on you have to have your business and you want to be successful, but the goal is to work to elevate the profession and to elevate the standards. And there's tremendous amount of work that's now being done in France through the use of a cooperative MEP, the MLS, cooperation between the offices, elevating the standards, the ethics. And to the extent that we're able to help in that regards, we're happy to do it, to share any information that we have along those lines. On the ERA Europe website, we have, if you go to eraeurope.com, we have a market study that we do every year that's available free for download. You put in your email address and you can download it, of all the European countries that we're in, to compare different markets and to understand. And we're happy to do it because it's only in the interest of the profession, which we're not totally benevolent, but we realize that by helping the profession, it's going to help our brokers as well. So thanks, Arthur, for the comments, and we're happy to do anything we can in that light, and we really welcome the wonderful work that FIABCI is doing, and look forward to more cooperation and to work with FIABCI in the future. So, yes.
Thank you very much. So we can get some more information on your website. Thanks. There is one last question.
Hi, very quick question. Would it be possible to get copies of all these presentations?
I believe it is, actually. I understand that, first of all, I want to let you know that FIABCI Russia and the organizers of this Congress are doing a phenomenal job. And I want to point out to the fact that, for instance, yesterday's events, which were recorded, are already available. And maybe Bill can tell you, Bill, you want to tell us where it can be found? And I would think that these presentations will be available very quickly.
Yes, everyone, if you go to the original Congress website where you registered, which is FIABCI 63, they have already posted an audio recording of Hernando de Soto's full entire speech and question and answer session, a full entire recording, as I looked this morning, of the first two sessions. So my assumption is all of this will be available on the website where you registered, the Congress website, FIABCI63.org, or, in Russian and English. So
actually, Bill, if you simply go to FIABCI.org, wouldn't you be able to find the site and then click from there?
Right. It's the Congress
so
website.
FIABCI.org, and then you'll get in. And I would advise you to go daily and send the link to your friends. So thank you very much for your attendance. I will leave the last word to Kirkor.
Thank you very much for all of you. As last word, I wanted just to present our gratitude to Danielle Grossenbacher, President of the Professional Division of FIABCI. She has done a great job to build all this World Council of Brokers of FIABCI, and we are really very thankful. I asked to Danielle to help us to be co-moderator, but she was the chief of the orchestra today again. Thank you very much, Danielle, and our applause, please. In the same time, to FIABCI USA chapter, who has done really great job also to help us, Bill Ensley, Secretary General of FIABCI USA. Thank you, Bill. And also thanks to all the speakers. Also, we are really thankful for the organizing committee of this World Congress and to FIABCI Russia to host our World Congress, our 63rd World Congress here. Thank you very much for all of you. Thank you.